Yes. Good. I think it's fine. Yeah. Okay. Let's keep it open. Yeah. Unless and until it's a problem. I need to do this because just for the purpose of teaching, I source from a lot of places. And so the ownership of the content is with somebody. So I just acknowledging the rights of the content. And now nobody catches me and saying you're using my content and not acknowledging it. So that's taken care. This is something for you to know about, is that I know all of you have gone through it. Those of you online, Zoom etiquettes is something that's important. The second thing I think is very true. You chose to do this course on your own goodwill. You didn't have your dad, mom, wife, brother, sister to push you. It's your hard-earned money most of the time, right? So make the best out of it. You paid for it. So it's in your interest to learn and use this learning for your career. Is that correct? Right? It's not like we were dragged to school and you said, I'm not going. Attendance in class is mandatory. I don't know whether this applies or not. Obviously, you've already been told 3 times, and I'll tell the 4th person to say, assignments are sacrosanct, deadlines are hard. You don't have a choice. All of us have 24 hours in a day. And so you have to meet deadlines. And so there's nothing much one can do. Only concession I can give to you is all of your working professionals get a call in the middle of the class. You're most welcome to go out and take the call. Our work is always a priority. So I'm okay with that. Okay. And those of you are. There's no prescribed books, unfortunately, or fortunately, there are no prescribed books. There is no fixed syllabus as well. So life is easy. But I do the broad framework of things, what it is. This is a management course. I'm not doing any hand holding. We don't guide you through the process. I expect you to be innovative. I expect you to be energetic, be imaginative, and do what's good. Eventually, managers have to manage companies. One fine day, one of you sitting out here, bright faces, could end up being a CEO or a head of a division or whatever that is. So I hope that the next leaders come out of this classroom, right? And all said and done, my equation with you is very clear. You're here to learn and I'm here to teach. Confusion about that. That said, this is how you can reach me. I'm available on Twitter. I love followers for Twitter. This is my Twitter ID. Do follow me. And I normally tweet on various subjects, mostly on things that are of interest to MBA students. So it makes sense to follow me on Twitter. You can see my Twitter handle, right? Let me introduce myself a little more formally. This is what I do over the weekends, which means that on weekdays I have an active life. I'm presently co-founder and vice president of a company called Aniara Spacecom. We have an office in Bangalore and in the US. What do we do for a living? We are a satellite and satellite services company. Anybody from aerospace, satellite? Yeah. We are aerospace manufacturer. Which company? Simtools. What do you guys do? We do the wing structural parts for Boeing and Airbus. Structural parts for Boeing and Airbus. Very nice. Oh, very good. Very good. Excellent. Nice to hear that. So what we do is we actually do everything on the satellite part, just of interest, just to keep the conversation going. And we also, we have a global business. I've been an RF and microwave, hardcore RF and microwave engineer. Done all of this only to finally land up with where I am today. So just to qualify the reason why I'm standing here and be qualified to talk to you, I have been on both sides of the discussion table. I have been an installer, I've been a user. I've also been somebody who qualifies a product, which means that and not only have I bought, I have also sold. So not only do I know what to expect out of a product, I also know how to position that product, things like that. Just to keep the whole thing running, the products that we talk is typically $100 million, or a typical satellite would cost anywhere upwards of 100 million. And then there are a lot of other components that I've been doing. I've been now teaching for almost 8 years, 7.5 is an old dated slide, which means that if you teach for 8 years, you develop a very unique skill. I can read the mind of the students. Especially, I can read the assignments of what the students submit. I can correlate student number 14's assignment with student number 74. And I know how powerfully they use the 3 keyboards, Control C, Control V. Okay. So unfortunately, when I see similar assignments, the second person is the casualty. So I believe that honestly, he would have written it, but he would have copied it. His name is A, or the other way around. He gets the full marks, but the one who comes later on get it. So please avoid sharing your work, because you might be the loser. Okay, unless and until you believe in charity and other things, right? To do charity. Okay, I've been a voracious leader. I mean, I can't go to bed without laying my hands on some book to read. Of late, I have been reading content which is of interest. I'm also learning the trick of trade. This is something that I added. You guys click on it, you get all my contact details. So you could do that. That's what we are. Anything so far so good? I think so, right? This is what your course is all about. We do marketing management. We do 18 hours. We do 2 sessions and 6 assignments, 9 self-test. Which one? 6 sessions. That's a typo. No, okay, you're right. Okay, I just want to sleep. See whether the rice is playing on you, the biryani is the effect of the biryani on you. What did you have? I think you had the right food for lunch. What did you have? Rice. Huh? Okay, so oh my God, you guys are awake. I can't take a chance now. Okay, sorry, sir. 18 hours, 6 sessions, 2 assignments. Each assignment is marks. I've already uploaded your first assignment. You have been just split into 2 sections. You'll be further split into groups of 7, 8, 9, whatever the number is. And you will be asked to work on assignment based on that. Okay. In my case, the first assignment is all of you have to gather up together, formally dressed, probably something like this, and then make a presentation. In the assignment, there'll be certain marks for the group, how well you have put together your 10 slides. I'll also give 10 marks the way he presents his part of the thing. Is he reading to the slide? Does he know what it is? Is he camera conscious? Is camera shy? Because tomorrow you'll have to address an audience, right? I mean, I grew up, as you can see, that I was an RF engineer and did that. My boss would send me to meetings and or these conferences, and then he would see me sitting in the corner out there. I was so shy of people. Then he would go and pull me out. And if we have to grow up in our lives, we have to be something. It's good to be working with all the electronics, but eventually you have to work with people. That's what it's all about, right? Sundar Pichai is now known for how good he handles people, not for the coding that he did 25, 30 years back. Right. That's the part of the story. So your course overview, I'll give you a bit of history today. Why marketing? Why should we take marketing seriously? Of course, every professor is going to say his part of the business is the most interesting. And so we'll clear that out. I will talk about roles of all of you have submitted that Google form. Yeah. Okay. Just one thing. I don't chase you on Google Forms. I tell you to submit, you submit. But for some reason, let's take him again as the example today. So let's say for some reason, he doesn't do a proper submission of any one thing. Now I have a choice is to, on the assignment, completely grade him down. What I'm then going to do is look at the other submissions. Like I said, there's classroom activities. I'll say, okay, so he's been regularly submitting classroom activities, but for some reason he hasn't done that. So then I'll be nicer for him when giving him the marks. But then I notice that he doesn't even care for Google Forms. And even this he has done. There's very little I can do. So I will not chase you for anything. But remember, it's better in your own interest that you eventually the markings that you get depends on how you have done everything. Okay. So I will talk about marketing, nuances of marketing, whether marketing is science or art or whatever that is, or the sledge of the hand, we don't know. Okay. So we'll bring science to marketing, marketing to consumers, marketing to businesses, and you can read the rest of the slides, right? Okay, good. Now, what next? This is your book, Philip Kotler, any edition. Which is the cheapest, or pick up, you know how to, I don't have to teach you how to pick it up in other modes, right? So normally you get all this PPTs available to you in a link. So I think if you go to the LMS, you should be getting all this. Okay. So there are two things. The one in blue is something that I expect you to read. So there could be a question or two coming on the blue part of it. Like what? There's only one: consumer relation, CRM or something like that. Oh, don't bother. Don't bother. This is just a very brief thing to tell you what it is. Other than that, there's nothing much important here. Except that marketing, I can't do everything in 18 hours. So we'll run through a lot of chapters. For example, advertising, supply chain management. Actually, supply chain management as a subject you have somewhere in term 3 or something. So why discuss it now? Or ethics is somewhere between law and things. So why bother about it? So we'll briefly mention about it. But the ones which are not covered up, like pricing, business marketing, product concepts, marketing channels, we go. So that's how I'll try to effectively use 18 hours. Every term, the content changes because business is evolving. The way we do business is evolving, right? So the slides that I presented in the previous class are, some of them have changed. Okay. So this is what your course content is all about. We strongly source a lot of subject matter from Harvard and Stanford. And Harvard and Stanford case studies are tough case studies. And we enjoy giving you tough case studies because that will toughen you up. Okay. As a matter of fact, every time I sit with the dean, he says, not tough enough. So this time it's more tougher for you guys. Okay. So last chance, want to get out now. Otherwise the doors are closing. Okay. Okay. So we do a lot of things. We have access to all of this. That said, there's a lot of Indianized content and play around and things like don't bother. The framework is fixed. That's what I said. I know exactly what to teach you, but how I teach you, what I add in, what I pull out, I'll make content new. I'll make case studies which are meaningful that you can understand. I won't give you a case studies with the 1950s and 60s. You wouldn't understand. All of you belong to an era where I guess so. All of you are born with internet. I presume most of you are beyond 1990 or something like that. So there's no case study that I can tell you where there was no internet and things like that. You are encouraged to ask, interact, and questions. The more noise you make, the more you learn more. Okay, I wouldn't know where to stop. If you push me, there's a lot of exchange. If you keep quiet, I move forward. Okay, then end of the course, I want you to be a better manager, and hopefully we've been doing this for now 12 terms. So we are quite confident about what we are doing. Okay, done. Anything so far? Are you following me? Yeah, makes sense. Okay. Yeah, replace your favorite film actor, actress with this for the next 3 months. Let him be your guru. He's alive and kicking. He's doing well. May 31, he celebrated his birthday. 1931 is almost 90 plus 91. He's quite active. And lots of concepts. Marketing is a very, very new subject. Marketing is a very new subject. I mean, market as such is a very old market. You know, we had markets. The Vijayanagar Empire had markets where pearls and gold were being sold on the streets. So that's what they say. But marketing as such is a very new subject. It's constantly evolving. There are lots of new concepts, new way that we look at business. And even today, right now, the way we do business is so different from the way we did business 20, 25 years back. So he's the father of modern marketing, and you know about him. Your obligation. Come prepared for the class. Expect to be given activities individually in the next 5 minutes or 6 minutes. You will have to open up your laptops, mobile phones, and get into an activity. I have specialized in Google Forms. Probably the only professor who's giving you Google Forms. So I'm going to dump you with a lot of Google Forms to fill up. You will have to complete assignments. You will have to read PPTs in the previous class. I take my job very seriously, and I insist that you take your investment into this course equally serious. Okay? Then, introduction of the student. The challenge for the professor is, how do I get all 50 of you or 60, 70 of you to introduce yourselves? We spend the whole day there. That's one problem. The second is, in the noise, how do I find out the smart? Okay, there's some bright pearl, bright diamond, uncut diamond, and things like that. How do I find out that? So you need to be noticed. You need to be heard in a crowd, right? That's the fundamental thing. Marketing is all about being known, being aware, being heard, and also hearing. They say that what's the point in building a wonderful flower in the forest? Nobody is going to see you. Even an ordinary flower gets a lot of selfies in Lalbagh, right? So it's time for you to be that where you are required. So thankfully, there are two concepts that give you an idea to talk about yourself in a very brief time. These two are known as the elevator pitch and the Twitter message. Anybody knows what's an elevator pitch? No? Yes, good, almost there. But bring the elevator into the conversation.
Okay, because when you enter elevator, you just have 10 or 15 seconds by the time you reach your floor. So, and that is why they say in that moment you have to get that.
Yeah, so you are assuming you are in the elevator. Who else is in the elevator?
Probably somebody whom I idealize as a good businessman.
And who else is in the elevator? Nobody else. It's just you and him. And you are in floor number 7. That gentleman is in floor 20. That's one day that you will not get out in floor 7. You will go with him all the way to 20. You have 10 seconds, 15 seconds to introduce yourself. You have some brilliant concept in changing the world. And you have to say all of that in 15 seconds. And don't waste your time telling your nakshatra, gotra, and all that stuff. Get to the point, right? So what you're, and that's what the elevator pitch. Perfect. You got it. Then elevator pitch is a vocal word. Twitter is more of that. Twitter also has character restrictions. You need to say something in 200 characters or 150. How do you say it? And be equally effective. You should have a sense of humor. You should be able to tell all about yourself and live something untold. Something like that. Okay. So if I were to ask to make a Twitter message or an elevator pitch, the host is spotlighting you. Okay. This is what mine would look like. Okay, this is elevator pitch. I have these PPTs which come with definition and notes. That's the page I don't read. That's the page that you must read because that's got the actual definition, that's got the actual meaning of everything. So concentrate on these pages when you're doing your revision or reading through. He's already explained, so why would I have to go through this page? So that's what it is. This is what I would do if I were to do a Twitter message. I would say, enjoyed a roller coaster ride from engineering to entrepreneurship. That is not easy. Got thrown out, got elevated, got through lots of troubles in life and got that. I'm telling you, I'm 60 now, shamelessly saying that. Okay. And at 60, none to listen to me at home. You know, who listens to you at 60? So I do lectures to MBA students. You have nothing but to listen to me with your fingers on your lips. Okay, I'm a South Bangalorean. I'm choosy on the coffee I drink. I'm very particular about the coffee. And there you see, my loyalty is elsewhere. Okay, how many of you are upset about my loyalty? We can discuss that after class. Yeah, where do you want me to support? RCB? Get rid of Kohli, I'll come back. Okay, so you know what I'm expecting you? Not just plain answer. That you would have done anyway. I want to see how can you use the right. And I used how many? 193 characters. And you already know a lot about me in a different way, right? You already know a lot about me in a different way. So now get into the act and do this for us. You do your Twitter message. I yesterday had forwarded that in our WhatsApp group. I'll repost it so that you can access it on that group. Okay. Or if you can find it, you can even reach out to it. But I'll do this. Copy. Okay, I've sent it. You have it, no? Okay, I'll give you about 10-15 minutes. And so I'll know everything about you all. Are you guys okay with me walking around?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, these are post-pandemic things. I want to make sure that, yeah, it's all fine. Yeah, access it. Oh, I can't do damn about it.
India's fastest network.
But do you have internet issue?
No, sir.
Switch to this network. You're trying to use yeah. You already responded. When did you respond? Huh? Today, this morning? Okay, good. Fair enough. Let me see. Let me open what you responded. No, but why? Why? Why not? Why not? Right? No, not here. Student intro. Okay. Stop share. Stop share. share screen, student intro. Okay. This one? Is your name here? Which one? First, second, third, fourth? Third, Daniel. So what's Daniel telling about himself? About myself, I like to be involved fully in what I do. You better be. I can take feedback very positively. He's just fine for that. I always want the people I talk to also participate in my conversation. Very good. Very nice. And what is your understanding of marketing? Is that the question? It's very important for any industry to drive the P&L. What is P&L? Anybody know other than him? Profit and loss. Okay, good. Who is Krishna Kumar? Is also here. You guys were what? You were part of the Shinde group in Maharashtra. You've been doing on your own. Okay, the product which what is that question? The product which in my opinion, is very hype. You know what is hyped, right? I mean, unnecessary lead position very high. Wearable gadgets is what you think. You've done your bachelor's degree in fashion technology, excellent, from Tamil Nadu. That's why you were quiet when I said CSK, right? Working on production manager in a suit manufacturing plant for Aditya Birla. Very nice. Good to hear you. Anybody else? Daniel around? You are sorry. You are Daniel, right? Yeah, that's what we're. You believe Starbucks is highly overrated. Oh yeah, sorry. Where is Bhairava? Bhairava is not here. Online guys, Priyanka, anybody? Where are these guys? Okay, this is what the other team yesterday did it. But we'll not bother about them, right? They say that they put the brightest in section A. But sometimes errors happen. Exceptions to the rule. Correct. So you both following what's happening? The ladies in the front? Yeah, good, making sense. This clock has stopped. Hi, your name? Shivkumar. Okay, following, making sense? I think somebody just uploaded something, right? No. Yeah, who's this? Harshita. Harshita is online. Hi, Harshita. How are you?
Hi, sir. I'm good, sir. How are you?
Good. Yeah, I think very feeble. Very feeble. Working as a finance manager in a home finance company for the last 2.5 years. Very nice. What is marketing? Marketing is convincing customer to buy our product. Means that no, which I think is not really worth that noise. Like too much of noise. For example, I believe Kohli is hyped. Just to give you, I don't think the guy. You get it right perfectly. I don't think he really worth the money that he's getting here. He's getting too much of interest. He's not playing well. Something like that. Just, I mean, there's too much of talk. Like the best dosas is from MTR. I don't believe so. It's too much of hype for that amount. So a lot of products which are there, overpriced, nothing in that, and that's what I said. But it's hanging around there because of good marketing. Or somebody's really positioned himself well. Yeah. Like for me, I believe that the Eiffel Tower is very hyped. Oh, we were told that you should go see there, and I was disappointed. I think there are better buildings or better places of interest in our own
I found
place.
that with Buckingham Palace.
Yeah,
And I heard the answer was
far too better than this. Yeah, yeah. So there you see, that's hyped. I mean, why would I have to travel 3,000 kilometers to just see this? Yeah, that's what is the definition. So who is this South Bangalorean here? Uh, Varun. Varun is here. Or yeah, hi Varun. You believe Nike shoes are not really worth the money. South Bangalorean work in power school, EdTech company as a senior accountant for the last 5 years. Okay, great. Satya, online marketing is primarily selling things. Perfect. This is exactly the thought processes that I need to understand. Cryptocurrency is a very hype. I wish I could talk about it. I don't know much about it. I believe in spreading love, positivity, happiness to people. Finance guy, finance guy should never have these characteristics. With philanthropic goals, your company will get. Yeah, it's no. I think I'll confine it to this. It's okay. You don't really get to share. It just I can't read all of them. So you've already posted. There. What's your name? Vamsi Krishna. Marketing is the better way to understand the current situation in the society and find out the way for the benefit of the organization. I am Vamsi Krishna and worked with different companies in different roles for the 7 years. I'm interested in to find new ways to earn money instead of thinking about controlling expenses. Good. I know. If you can earn more, you can spend more. Correct. Anybody else? What's the time? 2:10. I'll stop this so that we can. So, anybody else who wants me to read, uh, mention Manogna. Marketing. Manogna is here. Okay. I picked up this name because I have a niece by this name. Okay. So, marketing is how innovation you are and sell your goods in a different way. Good. Myself, Manogna, a student, teaches. Being a student, teaches students. Means what? You you're a lecturer. Oh, so today you're on the other side of the table. Graduated to build end-to-end building and much builders. Wow, very nice. Anybody else? Who guys? This one? Okay, talking best about the product I own and want to sell. Okay. Museums are very hyped up. Previously an enthusiastic engineer, now empowering the travel industry. Currently, you work with the travel industry. Love enjoying with friends, families, and companies. Okay, good. Somebody likes Apple. Sunil Kumar is here. Yeah, hi. Customer satisfaction is marketing. There you go. It's probably no wonder he likes Apple. Uh, Working under the Hinduja Global Institute Solutions, love to travel, explore new things. Good. Okay. I still have time for more. Plenty of time. Vijay R. Identifying customers. Vijay here. Anybody else wants me to read? They have. There you go. Mohammed. Here, letting the world know something about you and have a unique way. So, what does Mohammed do? You're an animal doctor concerned about animal bone threats in human. Yeah, we know one of the bats who caused enough damage to us. I have a crop of Kolar goldfields. Very nice. I'm finding ways to bring my unique thoughts to a practical use. Very good. Very nice. Anybody else?
Sir, just I want to discuss something about Byju's.
Byju's.
Check company.
Where is it?
16th, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
Byju's is the product. So I guess 3 years before, they
Hmm.
were not there in the market actually, not active in the market. When the lockdown comes, they were becoming like too active in the market with the price of I guess 200 to 300% increase the price of everything.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. That's why I'm here. All of you filled in. Okay. But all of you, I asked you to read a PDF file. You read the PDF file? Yeah. So what did you say about the dishwasher? What was your comments? You don't remember your comments? Huh? Inbound marketing. So difficulties in. Did you notice a comment that I had put on the PDF file? It said that this article is dated before the COVID. So what's happened between COVID and now? You know, you want a washing machine now, you have to wait for 3 months. Washing machine is the most, not washing machine, dishwasher. Dishwasher is the most hot selling product today. And that article talks about companies crying that their products is not being sold. What is that singular element which switched it? Non-availability of mates,
Availability of
right?
mates.
Non-availability of mates. None of us had mates for a very long time, 2 months, 3 months. So you see what happens is that one twist in a parameter, the whole story changes. So that is what I was expecting, but I was also not expecting because somebody who wrote that, I would know that he's thinking online similar to me. So that is what it is. So Baiju is again a story that we will talk about. For the next half an hour, I'll talk good things about Baiju, but then later on, we'll see what's wrong with Baiju. Okay, anybody else? Good job. Anybody else wants me to talk about this? Like, I'm here, I can't talk all of them. If you, anybody want me to read yours? Which one number? What's the name? Where is that? Here, Sanu Joseph, right? Correct? Okay, marketing is all about skill in building confidence in others to make sure they're able to product. Okay, LIC listing is a hype, is you mean? Yeah, I know they made a lot of money. And yeah, Sanju is basically from Kerala, works for Bosch as a project director with a friendly mindset, goal and understanding understanding things by listening and not by reading. Very lazy in reading long sentences. Okay, good, nice. Adding humor to a conversation is always good. Good then. We are good to go further. Okay, right. Thank you. Go back to stop share and screen share and I think this is the one. Okay, so good. I know you better. We know each other a little more better. Okay, next 20 minutes. Let's look at the whole story of evolution. Okay, so we take a few steps backward. We look at how life evolved, or more than life, let's say how business evolved, and then we'll try to put the sense of marketing into that whole conversation. Okay, so let's go back in history. We go back in history. What do you get? In the beginning, no, we'll not go so back in history. Okay. So early days of civilization, the very, very early days of civilization. If you look, I can go full screen if it gives you comfort, though I personally prefer to know what's my next slide. Okay, early days of civilization, we were all hunters and gatherers, right? I mean, each and every one of us were hunters and gatherers. We either hunted or we got hunted. Right? We got eaten up by another animal, or if we were smart enough, we killed that animal and had it for dinner. And then we became a little more smarter. We started doing agriculture. We started getting a little more the gatherers. There's also a very interesting saying when it comes to sales. There are hunters and gatherers. Anybody know what the difference between in sales? What is hunters versus gatherers? Hunters are the one who go chase the opportunity. Gatherers are the one who take away the leftover opportunities, right? So now we have what happens during the hunter and gatherer period. It's the survival of the fittest. That's it. Only the fit survive, and not so fit have early death. Correct? But in all this, there's no marketing, there's no sales, there's no product, there's nothing. There's some kind of a barter system. You give me a flesh of a deer, I give you a flesh of a cow, or whatever that is, some very basic, and that's the end of the story. Later on, man got more civilized. Man started building homes around the rivers. And then they started having this concept of kings and kingdoms and taxation and kingdoms and all that, war and capture. So what happened during that period of time is that everybody wanted to capture. Everyone, each king wanted to be richer. How do you become richer? I go attack another kingdom. I kill another king. I take all his wealth. That's the only way I become rich. Or I tax this poor farmer by another 30%. I care a damn whether it was a good monsoon or a bad monsoon. And I, as a king, need to please my 7 wives and get them some nice gold and jewelry. Just tax the people. Simple as that. So what does that mean? That's how it was, right? Massacre, kill. Look at Genghis Khan. Look at every one of them. Alexander and all of them. They believed that there was only one concept. What was that concept? I win, you lose. There cannot be a concept of I win, you win. That doesn't exist. Because the earth has only so much to offer. And that all that is to offer, either you will eat it or I will eat it. There was, the size of the pie was very limited. So even if you take that conversation forward, and if you look at some of the old Panchatantra stories and old stories of Chandamama and all that, you would notice that there was this stingy, miserly money lender. What would he do at the end of the day before he goes to bed? He opens his secure lock, counts all the gold coins, put them back, locks up and goes to sleep. Correct? The money was sitting idle there. Or he would dig below a tree, put all that pot of gold there, and hopefully that just before he's dying, he'll convey to his children that there is a pot of gold there for you to live peacefully. But what does all that mean? Is that man believed that tomorrow is going to be worse than today. There was no factor that tomorrow is going to be better. Because the size of the pie is limited, more number of people are being born on this earth, and so we have to do something. We have to save our money. But that concept is gone now. That concept is gone now. People do not believe in that concept because people believe that the size of the pie can be expanded. We can increase the size of the pie. All this concept, if you understand very well the I win, you lose concept, one particular parameter changed the entire history of the world business. That parameter was called the creation of the credit system. What did credit mean? Is that he comes to me and says, sir, I want 10 lakh rupees to start a new business. Now, he doesn't have a business. He only has a plan. He's not going to make money over the next 1 year. He's only going to be making money in the second year, third year. So I believe that tomorrow, if he does everything well, tomorrow is going to be better. And I can trust him. And should I give him 10 lakh of rupees, it is possible that he can actually quadrupulate the money that I've given him. And he will not only return me definitely with interest, but he'll also take care of it much more. So credit then made the whole world look very different. It is that tomorrow is a better day, tomorrow gets to be better, and we are willing to invest. If you look at all your grandparents and all that, they said that, like, you shouldn't borrow. If you don't borrow, never use your credit card. If you today don't use your credit card, the Indian economy will fail. Because if you don't buy, how will the manufacturing happen for tomorrow? Right? So it is required. And you've been their eyewitness to what is happening to the Indian economy over the pandemic. Why manufacturing stopped? Why people were not able to go to the street and buy? Why a lot of industries had to shut down? It's because people were not buying. And now people are buying with vengeance. That's a different story. So that is what creation of the credit system did. It allowed people to anticipate better. So now the king had an option. The king could go ahead and tax 30% more, or lend money to the farmer and tell him, do produce better, use better machinery, buy yourself better seeds, buy yourself better fertilizers. And so if your 1 acre of land gives you 10 kilos of rice, this will give you 20. So now you earn more, and obviously when you earn more, I get more out of taxes. So that is what happened. Kings started understanding their citizens. Kings started understanding enterprise, and both enterprise and the government started working together. And once they did that, something else happened. What happened is that, okay, this is again, you know what this slide means, is that you read it. Is that once this happened, especially in Europe, kings started funding enterprise. And kings said they were very liberal with taxes. They said, okay, we lower the taxes. No problem. We lower the taxes. Just that, make sure that I get more money. That's it. You know, you expand the business, expand the pie. How do you expand the pie? They started exploring. They started going into new lands. The moment they started going into new lands, they colonized those lands. Correct? We became slaves to the Europeans because the king encouraged them to build bigger ships. The king encouraged them to travel. Columbus said that I know a better route to India. I mean, you should have gone via Silk Board. You would have known what it is, right? So he said, I'll go westward. I mean, he discovered Columbus is actually the guy who went with a begging bowl to every country and said, I have a plan. I want to build a bigger ship. He went to the King of England. He went to the King of France. Nobody trusted him. Then the Queen of Spain said, okay, go ahead. Here's the first angel investor check that she gave. And wow, what a check she gave. They just conquered into whole of the West Indies. And they had sugar and all of the best things. Spain made a killing out of that one particular travel of Columbus, though he went on the wrong direction. So what happened was exploration happened, plundering of nations happened, and business is booming in one part of the world, and the other part of the world is in real big trouble. And we were part of that world, remember. Okay, so this is what is happening. Are you guys following me? Okay, good. So then what happened? With this came the Industrial Revolution. With the Industrial Revolution, better manufacturing things happened. What was earlier handmade could be machine made. It took somebody like him to make 10 boxes. A machine could do 100 boxes. Absolute large scale industrialized, mechanized manufacturing and factory system. Now something very funny happened with this. They started producing more than they could consume in the Europe. So they had to find a new consumer. Where is that consumer? They are the poor colonized countries became the consumer. So what would they do? They come to us, take the cotton that we develop, take it back, make it into shirts and sell it back to us. Or make it into dresses or whatever. Take the steel from here, something else and sell it. So because of colonization, the rich and the poor divide started happening, and the haves and the have-nots happened. The colonized countries became the new source for the raw material and the mandatory source for the finished goods. So you have to buy the goods that I make. You cannot buy a handloom sari. Sorry, not have to buy the sari or the piece of cloth that comes from Manchester, which is from a mechanized spinning mill. So now what is happening? The seller is the king. The seller decides what you will have. It's not the buyer, because there were very few manufacturers. You were asked to buy it on the point of a gun, and the seller had no choice. I mean, the seller was the king, and the buyer had no choice. Right? This is what happened. We had to pick whatever they had, and in the peak of such thing was the invention of or was Ford. He came out with his Ford cars. So what he said, you choose any color you want as long as it is black. So you have no choice in color. So you see the seller, because that's it. I don't mind, anything goes, but as long as I get it right, it's better to do it. So that's where you had in the previous slide that the seller was the king and the buyer had no choice. But coming to probably the last 70 years or 60 years of the journey, at the end of the Second World War was almost the end of colonization, right? I mean, in 1942, the Britishers were already tired of what was happening, and there was enough of revolt happening in most of the Asian countries, and most Asian countries got liberated at that time. So developing countries came up. The rich and the poor divide diminished. There was a lot of new countries. India was a little late, and that's why we're still struggling. The 4 Asian countries came up, like Singapore, Hong Kong, Singapore, Hong Kong, Indonesia, or Malaysia. They all came up, and they started Korea for that matter. There's another, the 4 tigers that came up. So they started also manufacturing. Now the seller is having a competition. I don't have to buy a General Electric refrigerator. Today I can buy a Samsung refrigerator. Today I can buy a LG refrigerator. So these Samsung and LG are those which have come from the new developed countries, Korea and other places. So the seller has competition and the buyer has choice. So now you see what's happening. You can't assume that my product would be bought. Now your product has to sell for itself. Now you have a choice for the customer. The customer, what is going to happen? So over the last 50, 60 years, the world has changed. From a seller's market, it's become a buyer's market. From product scarcity, you have plenty of product. Name any product, there's plenty of it. If there is any product which is a monopoly, I guess it's illegal. As simple as that, right? So limited sources. There were only there was a time when I remember a lot of my uncles who made a lot of money in booking Bajaj scooters. You know what that means is that it takes almost 5 years to get a Bajaj scooter once you book it. So I think when the child is born, let's book a scooter, let's book a telephone line and things like that. But it takes that long. So what they would do is he would constantly book the scooters, and anybody wants it, he would sell it at a premium to make some quick small money. So because there were limited sources, now they're unlimited sources. If I want to buy a car, I want to have it by Monday morning. Otherwise, I'll look at a car who will deliver it on Monday. That's the choice. That's the choice. People are saying 9 minutes delivery. Can you beat it? 9 minutes delivery is what Blinkit and what is the other one? So they are saying that's it. Now they're fighting over each other, willing to run over each other at signal lights. Okay. So there was a supply mismatch. There is a supply demand mismatch the other way around. There are excellent amount of products available. The seller was the king. Now the buyer is the king. So you understand the journey that we have done over the last 20 minutes or so. That's because it's a globalized world. We know what's happening in any other part of the world today. And the buyer not only has choice, he's spoiled for choice. Today, there was a time when I would travel to the old Bangalore airport. and my BP would rise 110, 120, 140, 160 for just one singular reason. Is that because I have a flight to catch at 8 o'clock, and there's one taxi service called SRP Taxi. I would call him the previous day. No, there was no mobiles at that time. I would call him the previous day and saying, please, sir, nade belige send me the car. And then all known gods of all religions, I would pray that the guy comes, because I don't know that if I have to reach the airport at 8 o'clock, that guy has to open his shop at 5 o'clock and wake up that driver. And there's no Google Maps. And how do I explain to him how he comes? Oh my God. That was the situation. That now is spoiled for choice, right? This is really what it is. Today, the pleasure I get out of Ola Premier is great. When I enter the car, it says, welcome, Mr. Ramesh. That's the feeling of a man, you know. There was a time when I would welcome the driver with garland. So you see, buyer has choice. Buyer has choice. Okay. So the seller needs to please the buyer. The buyer is educated. The seller needs to listen to the market. Otherwise, he's out. He's out. He's out. So react to market needs, act to as marketing performs, and perform the art of marketing. So the first time in the last exactly 1 hour from now, the first time I've used the word marketing. One. Okay. So now, if you have understood this whole thing, can you redefine marketing for me? All of you said marketing is this, that, this. Now, let's see in chorus and individually, what do you think is marketing? Understanding customer needs is one part of marketing. Fixation of? Okay, fair enough. Fixation of pricing is marketing. Buying goods and selling goods in a very systematic way. Okay. Understanding the needs of the customer, coordination with whom? With the customer, making sure that what you're selling is what the customer wants. Okay. And what is sales? What is sales?
Sales is selling the products of the customer requirement. Marketing is understanding what customer is need of and to create a product for the customer.
Perfect. Sales is selling what you have. So what these guys were doing was selling. The product is given to you. Somebody is, the guy, there's lots of things on YouTube if you listen about a guy who says that the best market knowledge is from the streets. There's a guy who's carrying a set of books in the signal light and he's selling you. He knows exactly what books to be bought, but he has no idea what those books are. He just comes to stand. Selling is just the final act of an entire marketing process. Selling a segment of it where everything is done and then you go and sell it. Selling is like keeping your eyes and ears closed. I said, this is a product. I don't care for you. This is what it is. But marketing is listening. Marketing is paying attention to what the customer wants. There have been so many goof ups. Yes, I'm trying to say something. Probable fault areas. What mistakes am I doing? Are you listening to me or not? Am I listening to you? This is what it is. So let's understand. So this is what I wanted you to mention. See, so most of you in your definition of marketing have actually defined sales. That's the first correction factor that I want you to do. Selling is priority on the product. The product is made. Done. Now go sell it. Selling, the company manufactures first and decides how to sell it. I get a brilliant idea that these water bottles are probably not perfectly designed. I wish the bottle could carry more water. Optimize. So I decide. I as an individual, so I want to make this bottle a little more thicker in the bottom, and I start selling it. But if at the thicker bottom, it won't even go and fit into the car. So if I don't listen to the market and come up with a product of mine, I'm going to ask all of you, do whatever it is, sell it at any cost and do it. That is the art of selling. Selling is what's already done and giving it. Selling is like a one-way street. Marketing is listening to the customer's need and wanting how to satisfy it. If I were to make the same bottle after rethink, I would ask 100 guys, why do you want to do it? I don't know how many of you, I believe, in my opinion, how many of you have seen the Ola S Pro? Seen it? No, not many. I mean, I guess it still take a while. I was looking at the Ola S Pro. How many of you drive two-wheelers? Virtually everybody, scooters and the equivalents of Dios and things like that. I noticed that the Ola S Pro has a hump where you keep your legs. So I said, that's a fundamental flaw. Everybody keeps their basket, their laptops, everything on that. And if there's a hump, how can you keep anything on that? So somebody is just not listening. Somebody is just not listening. You know, that space between where you keep your legs is the place where you keep the maximum amount. Even there are people who carry cylinders on that. And if you don't design it, what is the problem? That's because you're not listening. Priority is final prizes. Priority is innovation. I listen to you. That's why we will spend almost 2 hours talking about a subject called market research. People spend a long time trying to listen to you. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want to come up with the final product? Then view business as a customer satisfying process. Now, the company decides the price here. The customer decides the price. So I hope you guys have got the difference. Who and how our next 17 or 18 hours is going to be spent. So now, what is the difference between sales and marketing? Another way of looking at it. How many of you know what is Farm Easy? Right? Farm Easy, most of us know it. That irritating ad that we get that. Yeah. Right? I mean, honestly, I don't like that ad. I don't know if you guys may have another. I prefer that 1 mg ad, which is a little more subtle, and but I don't know. So Farm Easy is just acquired a company called ThyroCare. Now Farm Easy is about 3 years, 4 years into business, and you have ThyroCare, which says that they are the world's largest testing laboratory. And I know for sure because I read about them. They are about 40. How does a company which is 3 years old, 4 years old, end up buying a company which is 40 years old and telling that I am the biggest in the world? Why? Is because if I want to get myself tested for some thyro issues, the ThyroCare guy is going to tell me, Mr. Ramesh, we have 7 outlets working in 7 parts of Bangalore. We only work from 9 to 5. We don't work on Tuesdays and Fridays. And if you want, come here and give your blood for testing. Now, Farm Easy says, doesn't matter where you are. I'll come to your house. You sit where you are. I'll pick up the sample. I'll go in. What is life easier? If you do not listen to your customer, if you believe that you are sitting in an ivory house and the customer will come to you, bullshit, that days is over. We never go to any other place. We don't even visit our bank, right? I mean, there was a time when we had to visit in the bank, stand in the queue. You guys don't belong to that era, and then ask for to draw money for our expenses. And now we don't even carry cash. The other problem that we have. Yeah. So now I can't even say to my friends that I'm not paying the bill because I'm not carrying cash. Nobody's carrying cash. Right? Okay. So you say, shut up. Even I'm not carrying cash. So there you see that also doesn't hold now. So you see what happens if you don't listen. If you don't listen, you are out of business. Baiju, one part of the argument, because I made the slide before you asked me. So Baiju said, Akash is a big guy. had to shut down because they were only offline and they had no other options. Pandemic comes. They should have been smart enough to open up and start doing something online. But I guess they are old and tired. Baiju picks them up. And for Baiju, it was a perfect match between primary education versus higher education, and they do it. Third example, value of IPL franchisee. The value of all the IPL franchises is more than the value of the Tata Air India deal. And what is IPL franchisee? Virtually non-existing. It's just a piece of paper. That's all. Whereas Tatas have got physical cars, physical aircrafts, landing spots, excellent routes. But why is Tata not? Why is Air India closed? Because they don't know how to sell themselves. Try booking an Air India flight. You'll never get it on their website because they're lazy, whatever the reason. So marketing is how close are you to real life situation, and you're sitting in that imaginary world that that people will come to you. I remember my dad used to say, there's a saying, is that if you are an excellent shoemaker and you're sitting in a forest, the shoemaker, the world will make a beaten line. Means to say, it doesn't matter where you are, people will come to your outlet if you are very unique. I guess not true anymore. Yeah, if my shoe is broken here, I want somebody to come and repair it here. That's the world. That's the demand that the world can make. Okay. So where are we? Time for a break or no? Plenty of time. Yeah. So marketing is unlike sales, which is a one-way street, or unlike any open loop system. Marketing is a closed loop system. You are giving the customer something, waiting to hear from him. Are you happy with it? Is there something I can do? And then you start improvising it. Version 1, version 2, version 3. You look at every product. You have a version 1, version 2. People correct themselves, improvise themselves. Even in your own lives, you better have a feedback. Look at what your bosses are thinking of you. Look at the industry that you're working. Maybe you're in the wrong industry. Maybe that industry is going and dead. Maybe the job that you have, the skill set you have will get automated. AI is killing us, all of us. Elon Musk told us not to believe half a dozen tweets that come out. He said they are all what? They are all bots. And I have not seen a single bot myself, which means that I'm only seeing bots possibly. Yeah, so you see, when Elon Musk is complaining, he must be having some problem. So feedback is very important, and marketing is all about feedback. Okay, so we'll learn more about all of this in the hours to come. So marketing definitions is all, you will read it. I don't want to get into these slides. These are slides for you to pay attention. Man has basic needs. So you know what are the needs are, right? Roti, kapda, makan? Internet, right? Roti, kapda, makan, mobile, roti, kapda, makan, TikTok, or whatever that is, right? So yeah, that's good. Yeah. So the man's basic needs have grown up from 3 to 4, right? But beyond that, man has more needs. What are these needs? Man needs to work. What physical activity is very, very important. The worst punishment that you could do is to ask a person to sit and do nothing. It's impossible for you to sit and do nothing. And by the way, what's the brand Nothing? Any of you are aware of a brand called Nothing? Mobile, right? I mean, it's a very interestingly positioned name. Let's see how they come up with it. So I just realized the parents ask the son, what are you doing? He said, I'm doing nothing. Well, actually, he's playing with his mobile. Okay, so that's one thing. Second is man needs to socialize. If you do not socialize, you feel miserable. That's why quarantine, or the period that you had to quarantine yourself during the pandemic, was the worst. Depression, not because off or the Dolo 650 that they were consuming, but the fact that they were just couldn't talk. But the ones who quarantined, caught up with Netflix and Prime, did better, right? Yeah, so that is what it is. So man needs to socialize, man needs to have a sense of security, and lastly, man needs to have power. Power is the most important element for every man. Every man, power is very important. And especially when you get into mid-management levels, ask one of you, do you want a 10% rise in salary, or do you want to have another team reporting to you? You would prefer to have a team reporting to you rather than, because the sense of power at a certain stage in a man's life is more important than the feeling of money, because money can always come along, but the sense of power is very important. So man has basic needs, but needs are very basic as the very word, needs. We need to go beyond needs. Needs get converted to wants, wants converted to desires, and desires need us to go and buy products and things like that. Man wants McDonald's, right? So man wants to visit the Buckingham Palace. You see, this is what it is. He's not happy with the Mysore Palace. He paid a lot of money to go there, and to be only disappointed. Okay, so there are wants, needs, and desires. One more example of how wants get converted to needs and how needs are converted into marketing opportunities. A man wants to carry all of these for a journey, and then one smart guy says, I put all of this in a mobile phone and give you a torchlight, a calculator, whatever, an alarm, clock, and all that. That's what it is. A man doesn't want to stand for a long time in a queue, and then Book My Show comes, says, don't worry, we'll take care of you. That's understanding a man's want and converting it into a business opportunity. A man, a coffee shop says that I don't have people coming. So then Mr. Swiggy says, don't worry, I'll take your food to the place where it is. You know what all of this is. So Gorilla Glass, somebody creates a Gorilla Glass, and then it says, use. I mean, I'll put it on smartphone so that you drop them, nothing happens to them. So this is another example. Yeah, so this is just another example that we can look at. I could go on it, but yeah, we'll catch up on it later on. So needs and wants and demands. So three of them. So what is needs? Need is a very basic thing. You want food. Wants are, I want a good quality of food. I want a nice one. Because in the earlier group, somebody said the best biryani comes out from Meghna's. So in the other section, you guys agree? Okay. So you have needs and wants. And then you have demands. What is demand? I demand a better food. I demand a better rice. I demand a better efficient car. I demand a more friendlier car or an eco-friendly car. Once the demand comes up, demand is premium. I demand to travel comfortably. That means to say, okay, we'll give you a business class service. I demand to have delivery in 4 hours. Okay, you have prime delivery services for you. That's when I can charge you more money because you want to ask, you're upping the requirement. So understand needs, wants, and demands. These are the three things that I want you to remember. The types of needs, there are many types of needs. There are stated needs, real needs, unstated, delight, and secret needs. Every man, whether it's business or whether it is, what is B2B and B2C? I guess you both know what is, all of you know what is B2B is. B2B and B2C. Amul says they are C2C. Amul says they are C2C. You know what Amul does, right? So what is Amul saying C2C? Cow to customers. Cow to customers. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So you see, every man has certain needs. The basic need, like he walks in, or somebody else walks in and says, "I want a fast computer." Okay, but tell me, what do you actually want? I have a variety of computers here. I want a fast computer at a low price. That's what he's going to say. Beyond that, it's very unlikely that a man is going to state what he wants. And we will talk in upcoming classes something more about this subject. He's never going to say that I'm going to use it for gaming. But if you get into a conversation with him, it's most likely that he'll tell you that what I'm looking at. So the more you dig at what a customer wants, the more is the possibility that you understand what the customer needs. Actually, he'll be delighted if for the price you throw in a video graphics card or something like that. But actually, he wants it to record TikTok videos, which he'll never tell. But if you know that he wants a computer to record videos for TikTok, then you know you've got into the depth of a man's understanding. That's why smart companies know exactly what the customer wants and they position themselves accordingly. So some examples of needs and wants and demands. I can leave it to you, or we can move forward. We'll talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. How many of you know what is Maslow's hierarchy of needs? No, nobody knows Maslow's hierarchy of. Yeah, take a shot at it. Let's see.
Basically, what he says is, as long as we satisfy the basic needs,
I think it went to mute. Is it better now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Now it is clear.
Okay, when did you lose it? I hope it wasn't too long back.
No, just 2 minutes back.
Just 2 minutes. Okay,
Yes,
good,
I
no
don't know.
problem. Okay, so you have your basic needs, and then you have a sense of, you need to feel a sense of security or safety. And then I said, like man is a social animal, you need to feel comfort. You get into intimate relationship. That's after these two phases is when you decide, I think I should get married. I think I really need to build a family. I need to get closer. I want to throw a party to my friends. You would never do that in these two phases because your own existence is at doubt. Then you have a feeling of accomplishment. That's when you feel that, okay, I've done some journey. I think the engineering has not been all that bad and we've done well in my own life. And this is the time for you to the car that you have, or you want to change your two-wheeler to a four-wheeler, or you want to buy yourself a house. So these are all the various stages. And finally, you have this feeling of fulfillment, having done something in life. Over the last 60 years, what have I been doing? Do I go to the grave with a feeling of depression, with a lot of money in my bank and nothing to do? Or do I go with a feeling of... And that's what two families decided. They met up with Indian Institute of Science, and who are they? Any idea? Two met up with Indian Institute of Science and said that we'll set up one huge research and center. They were the guys who founded Bakchi. Bakchi, you know, who is he? Mindtree guys. They said that each of them gave somewhere around 600, 700 crores and said, let's, because the feeling of leaving back something for the society. So these are the various stages that a man goes through. Where are you today? Up to you. Don't tell me where you are, but decide for where yourself. Are you here? Are you there? And eventually, all of us want to get down to that level. So understand the last three slides. You get a few questions on these. So I don't mind repeating if you have a question. Okay, so you read this, you might get some idea. This I'll skip for now. So eventually, we will now get to look at, what is the time? Yeah, I'll do this part and then we'll have a small break. So eventually, we'll look at how companies have adapted, how companies have tuned their lives to see what the customer needs, and how some companies have not done that and why they made a mess of themselves. So let's look at companies that have and that have failed to adapt to the market needs and wants. And what are market needs and wants? They're very, very simple. The first one I'm saying is the product is the same. The connect is the tadka. You know what is that? The connect is a spice or whatever. The food that you are eating is the same food that has been on for the last 50, 60 years. The dosa at Vidyarthi is the same dosa, right? At any other place. So you guys like the Vidyarthi Bhavan dosa? Have you been there? Yeah. So it's the same thing. It's the same stuff, which is, but the entire delivery process of that food is what has changed. Earlier, you could drive in and go and eat. Then they said, oh, don't worry, don't come this far. We have a few franchisees. You go and go to the franchisees. Then somebody said, which franchisee to go? Where I am Mr. Zomato. I'll review the restaurant and also tell you which of your friends went and saw it, so you can be sure whether going there. The food is still the same. Nothing is happening. It's the same oily dosa, but it just that the way it's reaching out to you is changing. So now somebody said, why do you want to do it? I'll come and deliver it to your house. Then somebody went a step forward. If somebody is not coming to your place and your food is being delivered, why do you at all exist in this world? Go ahead and open cloud kitchens. You know what are cloud kitchens, right? Cloud kitchens are kitchens which don't exist in the real world. They're somewhere hidden somewhere and you do it. So that is way you look at it. The way you travel. Traveling is still the same. Travel is still the same. It's the same aircraft. It's the same wind conditions. But everything is changed the way you buy your tickets. Earlier, I remember I would have had to go to the Jet Airways office on Dickinson, stand in a queue and buy myself a ticket. And now it's a very different world. So all of this means to say that product per se has not changed, which then brings up to a concept which is called the 4 Ps. Anybody have an idea what's 4 Ps? 4 Ps. You're most likely to have an idea of what is 4 Ps because very basic. It's even, you don't need an MBA to do that. The P's stand for product, price, place, and promotion. Okay. You see what's happening. When we look at that slide where the seller is the king, when the seller was the king, I'm deviating from our conversation, but I don't mind. We come to a more detailed discussion later on. When the seller is the king, it's always the P, meaning it's my product. It's my definition of the price. You come to my place and buy it, and I will promote the product. I as that General Motors, I as in BSNL, I as in Air India. It's I will fly from this place to that place. You will come to my office and pick up the tickets, and I will tell you what price that ticket is for. No. That's why in our next class, we will not talk about the 4 C's because that's an older definition. We'll start talking about the 4 C's, where the C meant the customer, what the customer thinks of you, what the customer is willing to pay. Is it convenient for the customer? What is the message that you are communicating to customer? So that's what we're going to discuss. Further on, hey guys, hope you're able to listen to me and no audio issue. Look at this. Another nice problem that I want to be. You have to be customer centric. The customer, if you must, anybody from Amazon here? There was one girl from Amazon the other day. You must listen to Jeff Bezos. He only talks about customer. If you don't listen to the customer, you're dead. You must listen only to the customer. Because that's the way it is. So look at this problem. Netflix was started by a guy called Reed Hastings. So one fine day, he went to this CD rental company called Blockbuster, and he picked up a CD. For some reason, maybe there was rain or whatever is the reason, he could not go and return back the CD in the next 2 days, and he had to go and give it after 3 days. He was fined heavily for it. He was almost fined the value of the CD. He said, this is not correct. There's something basically wrong with the way this model is working. And I'm not the only one suffering. So then he came up with Netflix. Netflix said, pick up the CD. Along with that, we'll give you an envelope. And once you watch the CD, we'll give you 10,000 outlets in the city. Just drop it wherever you want. So you see, he made it so convenient for people to get that CD delivered back that within years, Blockbuster had to go bust. They had to close down the shop. And he hasn't stayed there. As a matter of fact, Netflix is going to be very interesting. Or what Netflix is going to do is that Netflix was the one which noticed people moving away from CDs to streaming. And Netflix was one of the leading companies to look at streaming. And right now, of course, Netflix is struggling a bit, but there's one message. Let's see, what is that message? Yeah, okay, I think it's an old one. So there you see, that's one example. I'll give you a couple more and then we'll wind up. So same product. What did I say? Same product. The tadka was different. Now the same product, promotion is different. What is Starbucks versus WeWork? What do both of you offer you? Both of them offer you coffee, a place to desk, and a good internet. Starbucks says, pay for the coffee, the desk is free. WeWork says, pay for the desk, we'll give you coffee. It just plain, the way you look at it. And look at that big battle between Jio and every one of them. Jio says, pay for the voice, we give you data free. Or the other guy said, Jio said, pay for the data, voice is free. We don't really consider voice as a part of your business. Just the way you play around and you change the rules of the game. If you want to lead, you have to change the rules of the game. And the best example is Tata Docomo. Tata Docomo came when there were already 5 players in the market. Jio came when there were 6 players in the market. He killed everybody. We'll talk about that. Jio, we'll talk a lot about Jio later on. Tata Docomo came and said, have you looked at your bill? Oh, yes, you are billed by the minute. And normally you're calling the taxi guy, so that whole conversation doesn't last more than 10 seconds. So you talk for 10 seconds and the company bills you for 1 minute. That's wrong. We, Tata Docomo, will only bill you by the seconds. The product has changed. The customer has changed. Nothing has changed. It's just the way they are promoting the service. And Tata Docomo literally ran through a lot of things. And finally, everybody had to move to a second billing as such. So this is what you do when you start thinking from the customer's point of view. Here again, same product. But what is happening? The summer holidays come. Boost says, we give you a racket free. Now, all of a sudden, your children start loving Boost. It's not for the powder out there, but it's for the badminton racket. So they are selling it. That's how it is. And an airline offered flyby. In our airline, wives will fly free. Lots of people used it. Their wives never came to know about it. Okay. So you see. So that's what it is. And you look at this. This is the best example. Free screen replacement gives you so much of comfort. And but you think they're doing it free? Somewhere they have built it in their model. So change the rules of the game and you stay ahead in your business. That's what it is. Your assignments are going to get you start thinking about it. This is an example I cannot overquote. I mean, I can never be overkilling the statement. Head and Shoulders sachet cost, bottle cost 80 rupees, 90 rupees, whatever that is, 74 rupees. A very few people in the segment of the society can afford it. You virtually only middle class or not even middle class, upper middle class can afford a bottle of Head and. But what about the poor? You come up and Chick is that, I forget his name, C. Raghunathan or something, I forget his name. He came up with a brilliant idea that I'll give you in a 1 rupee sachet. It's the same thing, it's the same product, but a completely different user. Even the poorest of the poor could wash their hair because it just costed them 1 rupee. So what you did was you totally created a new set of users. And he was so successful that right from Head and Shoulders to everybody else had to come up with a 1 rupee sachet packet. And now they have another problem, which again is due to inflation. We will not talk about it. Is a word for that, stagflation. Now the price has gone up. The cost of the ingredients has gone up that they cannot give it to you at 1 rupee. If they give it to you at 1 rupee, they'll have to reduce the quantity by half. If they reduce the quantity by half, people with wonderful, luxurious hair are not going to fully enjoy it. So they are in a very, very tough situation. If you increase the price, you're actually getting cheated. You're cheating the public. So you see what happens. Same product under different user. These are the good guys who did the right things in their life. There are lots of guys who did the wrong thing in their lives. Tata Nano. Product is fine. There's really nothing wrong with it. The Tatas know how to build the car. The pricing is fine. 1 lakh rupees, right? Wow, I remember people from different parts of the world and called me and said, can you believe it? Of course, at that time, The dollar was 50. They said, Ramesh, $2,000 car. I said, yes, yes, of course, a $2,000 car. But why did it not succeed? Forget other reasons. Forget manufacturing reasons. Forget every other reason. But still, you never thought of it. The reason why you never thought of nano, because Tata said, oh, poor young, poor old, poor fellow, I'll give you a cheap car. You are driving a scooter. You can't afford a good car. I'll give you a cheap car. It's a car for the middle class. And I go buy it. Kya, Ramesh? Salary ka kya hua? Is the first thing that you're going to be asked me, right? Is because the product is positioned as cheap and for the poor. That's an absolutely wrong way of this. The car for those who cannot afford a good car. That's the wrong way of positioning the car. The car should have been positioned as this guy wrote, my other car is a Jaguar. As a matter of fact, the Jaguar guy should have been guilty. That what the car should have been positioning is we occupy less road space, we pollute less, we are the nicer guys, we love our, like the guys who drive a Reva. You never different opinion about him, right? Yeah, you whatever it is, I like the Reva guy, you know. I mean, they are doing the Reva guy we never see him as a poor guy. We see him as a guy who's actually has a different approach to life. That's the way it should have been. Exactly. So wrong positioning can result in the product going bad. Okay. Probably have one more or two, and then we'll take a break. I'll not get into this. Another reason why. This one. Product is good. Pricing is good. Credibility is great. The super credibility on the Nokia phones. And they've been a leader, virtually a leader. Every model is a running success. But where are they today? Why? They refuse to listen to the people. They said, we are the kings. We know what you want. And yes, they knew what I wanted 20 years back. 20 years back, I've repeated this story in the other section. I'll tell you the same thing. I used to have a Nokia phone, which was quite a big one. Huh? I don't know what the number is. And I told you already the story of the taxi and the airport and all that. So finally, I reached the airport in time for the taxi in that Maruti van. And you know how the Maruti van door is, right? I mean, you slide it. I'll tell you what. I normally trying to go for the flight. I have the phone in my hand, and then I slide the door. Along with the slide, the phone flies. Goes bad, 3 pieces. I pick them up, patch them up, and go. Absolutely reliable. Lovely. Nothing happens. And then I had my, okay, now that you guys I had my friends who bought the Samsung, you know, Sony Ericsson and all that. So they would come to my office and say, hey, I bought a new phone. So I would say, oh, you got a new phone. I just hate my phone. I would throw it. I said, throw your phone. Let's see. So because Nokia was such a reliable product. You guys don't belong to Nokia age, most likely. I'll tell you, Nokia said, the market said, we want dual SIM. I want one for private life, one for business life. Nokia said, no, you don't need dual SIM. I know better than you. I will not give you dual SIM. I said, no, we want it. Then Nokia said, no, you don't need it. We are the market leaders. We know what you want. The market said Symbion is not current. Please do something about it. Sorry, we will stay with Symbion. Android is the advanced. No, Symbion is with. Nokia refused to listen to the customer, and today they are paying for it. So it doesn't matter if you're a leader. BlackBerry, same. I'm doing good. I'm the king. I'm the king. And if you know the story of BlackBerry and Google and Apple, I'll probably leave you with that story, is that when Google felt that they should come up with the phone. Google felt that we should come up with the phone because I think that's the big market. And the phone that they wanted to emulate themselves was around the BlackBerry and the Palm. The BlackBerry and the Palm was also almost like a BlackBerry business model with a nice QWERTY keyboard and all that. So they were heading in that direction. And incidentally, on the board of Apple was also 2 members of Google. Now, one fine day, the 2 members of Google were sitting in the Apple board meeting, and one guy walks into the board and says, "This is the new phone that we are bringing out." And what does that phone not have? Keyboards. So Google guys saying, "Hey man, we are running behind the wrong thing. Apple is coming out with a keyless phone, and we are trying to emulate the BlackBerry and all that." And that was when they redid the whole thing. And if you are an Android user from the very day one, the first set of Androids had lots of problems. They would hang up and all that. And what they did, once they came out with the phone, they came to know about it. Steve Jobs came to know about it. They were thrown out. And Steve Jobs was so upset that he virtually dragged Samsung and Google to war. And he said, "This is not war." He said, "It's nuclear war." So that was the way it happened. So you see, a lot of companies can make up mistakes. Can you name a few companies which did badly? Kodak did badly. Anything else? Which one? Bounce, as in the scooter. Yeah. Why? What did they do bad? Stop. Okay. So they were just left around like that. Anybody else? Online?
Tesla
Snapdeal. Yeah, go ahead. Online.
company.
Tesla? I thought Tesla is doing well. There's nothing wrong with them. No, I'm talking about, let's define market leaders falling on the road. Market leaders falling on the road. Ford,
HMT,
for example, Big Bazaar, the Future Group, they were doing well and they just lost it. Okay, enough for now.
HMT watches.
Which what? What is that? HMT watches. I have an HMT watch. Yeah, HMT watches. I guess, yeah, you're right about HMT watches. HMT watches, there was a technology issue. HMT watches should have stayed in the edge. Like they could have stayed saying novelty. Like now I wear a HMT watch just to tell you that I have an HMT watch because it's a rarity now. Yeah. So yeah, those are the examples. So go take can we have a 10 minutes is enough break? Or you want 10 minutes is good enough? Have a quick coffee or whatever and come back. 3:15. We'll see you at 3:25. And we have a lot to complete. Kellogg's is another failed story, but we'll talk about it later. Enough failures. We get to look at it. Okay, just before you guys are following me. Am I speaking too fast? Making sense? Okay, perfect. Go ahead. Take a break. See you in 10 minutes. So enough of the conversation that we had in trying to warm you up into the act of marketing, and you'll see what marketing does to business per se. This is one very basic graph that you follow. This one? Yeah, hi, come here, 1 minute. Between both of you, you'll have to tell me what are the 4 P's. Yeah, 4 P's of marketing. Yeah. Price production. Price production. I got one of them wrong. Yeah, okay. I think I'll go by production is product. Okay. Fair enough. Well done. Good. We said the last one entering would have to do this. Okay, so this is one very basic graph. There's no explanation required for this particular chart. What does this chart say? That as the price of a product falls, consumption of it, right? Obvious, right? I mean, the price of anything falls, the consumption is going to rise. If the price of internet falls, we're going to spend more time downloading things like that. Lots of examples. The price of airline tickets fall, we tend to travel more, and anything for that matter. Price falls, consumption rises. But the next two graphs are going to tell you something else. This is the demand curve, this is the supply curve, this is demand elasticity. We'll not get into that much detail, but we'll look at it differently. Price falls, consumption falls, rises is the fundamental graph. But unfortunately, there are two other graphs. Price falls, consumption falls. Price rises, consumption rises. So we're bringing up two alternates to that process. Now give me first one. Why would the price fall and consumption fall? There is no much usage of the product. The product is almost a no-brainer. Nobody wants to buy pagers now. Nobody wants to buy something that is obsoleted technology and it's not going to work. Anything else? There's plenty of product availability and hence it doesn't make sense for you to buy. Or as I said, the usage is gone. There's no use for it. Or any other reason. There's a better substitute. And so why would I want to buy it? Okay, good. And yeah, good, nice examples of it. There's a quality issue with that product. Tata now wants to sell it to you. You buy something and give you a Tata Nano free. You're not going to buy it, right? Not like the badminton racket. It's not going to work like that. What about the other one? Price rises and consumption rises. There's a demand for it. There's a unique feature for it. But what about things like competing product or complement? What about them? Now I'm telling you, the price of tea rises, people drink more tea. That's the example I'm trying to give you. So give me an example of that. iPhone, because you believe that price rises, then what happens? Yeah, you believe that there's something unique about it, and so I should buy it just because it's a PVR gold class ticket. They say replace it with diamond. Wow, there's something nicer about it. I'll go for it because there's a sense of quality. There's a sense of pride. The price of gold has gone up. These three will rush there, right? So it's all a question of okay, fair enough. But let's try to structure our conversation. We understand the other one. Price falls, consumption rises, a basic thing. Price fall, consumption falls. I got very innovative answers. I want whoever gave out the answers, very innovative, very nice. I truly nice. And now I also get a sense of how much you can push me. Because it's very simple in my conversation with you. The more you push me, the more I'll deliver. It's as simple as I won't know where to hang on, right? Now, price rises, consumption rises is a very interesting phenomena. And that discussion is spread into two portions. One is known as the given goods. Given goods is one thought process where price rises, consumption rises. There are given goods and Veblen goods. Right now, we are not talking about Veblen goods. We are talking about given goods. Given goods are very basic, low cost, inferior goods that we are talking about. Now, to best understand what are given goods and why do people buy more of them when the price increases, we will look at one example. We look at this example. A family has rice and wheat as its staple food. Okay, a typical family, rice is a basic fundamental food that they eat. Wheat is the they have. So in terms of positioning, rice is basic, wheat is slightly above that. Okay, that's like I primarily eat rice, but I occasionally eat wheat, kind of a category that we're talking about. Now, in a typical household, we consume 40 kgs of rice and 10 kgs of wheat. And rice costs 5 rupees and wheat costs 20 rupees. And so I end up spending $400 or 400 rupees, whatever that is, per month. Now, for whatever reason, the price of rice has gone up. The rice has become 6 rupees. But the same family size is there. The same everything is there. So I still need to buy 40 kgs of rice and 10 kgs of wheat, and that becomes 440 rupees. But my budget is 400 rupees. So now where do I sacrifice? So because the price of rice has gone up, I'm going to reduce my consumption of wheat. So to compensate for that, I am going to buy more kgs of rice and less kgs of wheat, and I still stay within my budget. So given goods are those goods which are inferior goods, basic good stuff that a man needs, and he would sacrifice something else for the sake of this. So that is what it is. Now let's say there's huge, I mean, another example is a huge rise in price of electricity in your home bill, and that becomes unbearable. You may reduce your let's say cable TV charges and say I'll watch fewer channels because I need to light my home all the time. So that kind of an argument. So given goods are those goods which are in the lower strata of the thing. But Veblen is like all of you said, Veblen goods are luxury goods, are goods of great luxury, where there is a perceived value of quality and they are positional goods. If I'm carrying, if I'm going to remove my phone and flaunt it around, you know the phone I have. I'm not going to flaunt a Micromax and things like that. They're positional goods. So the moment the price of that increases, I'm going to buy it. Somewhere in our class 4 or something, we'll look at how the man behaves and we'll look at pricing versus positioning of all these goods. So understand Veblen goods and Giffen goods. Any questions on this? Clear? Yeah, they are. Those are seasonal. Those are seasonal. They increase. They increase as per the like holiday air tickets go up. You know. See, just because you brought it up, there are two kinds of industries which faced the problem of the pandemic. Virtually every industry suffered because of the pandemic, except for some of the food industry, Dunzos and things like that. They made a killing out of it, and pharma made a killing out of it. But if you look at it, let's compare airline industry versus the automotive industry. Okay, both had a disaster because nobody was buying cars because people were not allowed to travel. Nobody was going by flight because we were not allowed to travel and we were stuck at home. Who encountered a major loss? It's the airline, because that's gone. Ticket on that aircraft on that day is gone. Whereas once the pandemic opened, I can go and buy myself the car. So the car industry, automotive industry can make up for the losses because people who didn't buy last year will line up this year and buy it. The people who didn't buy new dresses over the last 1 year would come back and buy 2. That's called revenge shopping that happened in China. But in airlines, the seat gone is seat gone. I mean, it's not going to be like that. In hotel industry, the unbooked hotel is an unbooked hotel. You can never come back and book that hotel. So there are cons. We are not talking about those kinds of situations. We are talking about general price rise and its impact as such. And so understand the difference between Veblen goods and Geffen goods. That done, we will, so now one more definition of marketing is marketing is responsible for the price to consumption curve, which is linear, to become non-linear. By smart advertising, I am able to create Veblen goods. When you run behind Veblen goods, everybody wants to. I want to buy a high design bag, or I want to buy myself, a feel good factor. There's somebody who's with Aditya Birla on the suits. So, I mean, there are aspirations. I don't mind paying more for it. And so this is one more definition of marketing. There were so many definitions of marketing. I add one more definition of marketing. The price to consumption curve becomes non-linear because of marketing. Okay, guys, following? All done? Okay. Maverick CEOs are always marketing. You know what are maverick CEOs? Or CEOs were kind of crazy characters. Crazy characters are maverick CEOs. For example, Tesla's Elon Musk, or Steve Jobs, or Richard Branson. Yeah, they're all names out there. They're always crazy. They're always making noise. But every time they make noise, more Apple products are sold. Every time Tesla makes a noise, Elon Musk name makes a noise, I guess more cars are being sold. So these are all the time marketing their product. Every time we look at Vijay Mallya in the jail, we rush to the nearest pub. No. I'm not saying that. Okay, so at least you know what is the point behind that conversation. So you see, they're always marketing all the time, and people who have that kind of marketing, what kind of a budget do they have? They have zero marketing budgets. How much do you think Apple is spending on marketing? Virtually zero. It's because I'm marketing for Apple. And look at this guy. This guy is flaunting his Apple. Do you think this is an Apple laptop? Impossible. If it was an Apple laptop, no way he would hide that logo. This could be some other thing. So these are brands in which the user promotes the brand. All the time, the user is promoting the brand. And I'll flaunt my iPhone. I'll remove it 10 times and my friends don't notice it. I'll make it a point to show them the phone, this one. So yeah, so recently I was traveling, just as a joke, of course, is that I bought myself a Nike Air, which is the new shoes. And then I was with my friends. I made sure that I pointed my shoe. So you see, who is advertising? I'm the users advertising the brand, but who is advertising for Micromax, Shah Rukh Khan, and all that stuff? You look at where the problem is. Look at where the problem is. If your customer is not, promoting your brand, there's a problem with the brand. But if the customer is promoting your brand, look at the money that you're making on that. Zero. I'm sure Apple must be having a zero budget. I mean, zero, not in zero, but I think a few zeros less than what others is having. So that is what is. I always like this joke, and I always tell him this. So this is US Polo. US Polo. All of you are proudly advertising US Polo. My son, who was doing his law, he wanted a white shirt, and he said, I want a Van Heusen. I said, buy a Ramraj shirt. He said, no, I'll run away from this house, but if you buy me a Ramraj shirt. I said, what's that? Whatever is Ramraj in India is actually the US Polo of the thing. But you see how it is. We are, whatever that is. I mean, that's what brand value is all about. Tomorrow, you should be able to create a brand value for the products that you will be asked to work on. So we will now spend the next 10 minutes talking about what is good about marketing and what is. Let's see, after having educated you for the last so many minutes, let's look at what is good about. What is good about marketing? It increases sales. Okay. What is that? It creates customer needs. Okay.
It
Brings in
increases the
awareness.
brand value.
It increases the brand value. Okay. What else? Who are being quieter there? They're lost there. Oh. It brand marketing increases profit. Is that correct? 100% correct, right? I mean, there you go. Marketing gives you a feeling of Evian water versus Bisleri water. There's still H2O, right? You can't make it H2O2. But she's willing to pay 200 rupees for a bottle of Evian. And 10 rupees Bisleri is zyada hai. So anything else? He has something to say. Yeah, go ahead. Increases retention, customer retention. Perfect. Very nice. How do we state that further? Brand loyalty. Yeah. So the very fact that I have a certain brand, and it happens all the time. I was at one time running behind MI because I found the MI product good, and then about MI this, MI that, and then so you're very right. Branding gives you a lot of retention. Branding allows you to expand your lines of business. We will talk about it in the other classes. What is bad about marketing? Confusing and misleading the customer. Okay. Sometimes creating monopoly of things. What else? Hype. In areas where there shouldn't be one. There shouldn't be one. Yeah. Yeah, I think your watch is old. You should be having a smart watch. I think. Yeah. So tomorrow. So you see, creating a need where it doesn't exist. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. All of you know that ad. So what are they doing? Let's talk about that and talk about it purely from the marketing perspective. Is what are they trying to say? Is they are creating one positioning of what is in the girl's mind, and second is they're doing a fear factor in yours. Okay, oh my God! Now, if I don't have a perfume over me, I guess I'll be a pariah or I'll be an outcast. But there's also another one in which that guy puts perfume to everybody around him. Okay. Yeah. So there you see and both of it is bullshit, right? Okay. So you see that's what marketing can do. But marketing does good things in life. It pays my salary sometimes. Of coming here. Okay. So marketing, why dislike? Let's go to like and then go to dislike. Builds, upgrades lifestyle. Well, many a product which I didn't know, marketing made it. Yeah, a lot of products which I didn't know that was there. It promotes business and trade. Remember, no marketing, no business. No marketing, no business. If you don't market your product, you're dead. What if you're the greatest product in the world, but you don't know how to reach out to your customer? 90% of the time, that's the problem. You don't know how to get on to the customer. And if you get on to the customer, the challenge is how do you tell the customer that my product is better than somebody else's product? That's what we'll discuss. Most importantly, it generates jobs. Yeah, marketing generates jobs. If there were no Kia ad, there wouldn't be a Kia plant in this part of the world, right? That's what does that. And brings in awareness. Absolutely. Name the biggest marketing campaign that India encountered or just finished, or ongoing marketing campaign of India. Make in India. Okay, what else? But bigger than that? Pan India. No, one marketing campaign. Swachh Bharat, yeah, something bigger than that. The whole vaccination was a huge marketing campaign. It's social awareness. Listen, go get yourself vaccinated. And you don't get you vaccinated, you not only cause problem for yourself, of course, for your neighbors. So that's it. Social marketing. I grew up without knowing what is BMI. And now, I mean, now everybody's talking about BMI. What's your BMI? I mean, to hell with what it is. And I never knew there was good cholesterol, bad cholesterol. And now Mariko and Safola seem to tell us everything about our oil. Okay, so that's marketing. And marketing is talking about obesity, talking about diabetes. It's all about that. You only to be told later on that, hey, it's okay, man. If your people scared us, if your sugar is your 3 monthly average is 6, and then later on they corrected themselves to 7. You know all the stories. Bad marketing. They tune in with the numbers so you sell more. It talks about diabetes. Dash is the new tobacco. What is that? Dash is the new tobacco. Sugar is the new tobacco. They are now saying that off sugar is probably one of the things that they do that. And my son wanted to go on an off sugar campaign. He said no sugar for the 1 week, and then he's at Milano ice cream on Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. If you you go out forever. But that is what it is. Reviving gray audiences. Marketing is actually creating old. We are back to listening to old music, and Carnatic music was almost dead, but we're trying to revive all of them. So that's good about it. As you rightly said, marketing is bad. Marketing is truly bad in the sense that it spends more than you can afford. I'm ashamed that you guys don't have the latest phone, don't come to class, things like that. You know, you're creating a barrier. Okay, brand differentiation where it doesn't exist. Example, Avion versus Misleading. What's the difference? But then you create a brand, a perception that you want to have, and don't care for earth and safety. For example, the amount of campaigning that they do, the lot of paper that is wasted, a lot of boxes that come out with your simple Amazon shipment. They don't care a damn about it. And you're responsible for that. And promote materialistic lifestyle. Yeah. Among the, we'll talk just in the next 10 minutes, the word called lagats. Among the lagats was my wife, who finally over the last 3-4 months got hooked on to the e-commerce websites for dresses and things like that. And now she's buying left, right, and center. It's because it's promoting materialistic lifestyle. And then you know who's paying for it. So that's a problem. So illegal, but who cares? Pan parag is illegal. And it's not tobacco, illegal, everything. But that's it. You see all kinds of people coming and buying it. Social discriminator, IPL, I don't know whether it still exists or not, but if you pay 10,000 rupees for an IPL ticket, you can have a post cricket match. You can join them for a pub or whatever that was. So that is what is, again, creating all kinds of barriers. So that done, we will move into the last segment of our conversation, which is what are marketed. Obviously, they'll ask you what are marketed. City is always marketed. Visit Dubai, person. You don't have to say there's so many of them. We are always promoting Shah Rukh Khan, or we're promoting anybody else. We're promoting an event. Olympics is a huge marketing. IPL is a super marketing effort that is going on. Political events, you have one here. Social events, like you have End Polio now, and things like product services are always being marketed. Okay. So that said, we'll talk about one last segment in today's conversation, which is product lifecycle. Now, it's most likely that all of you know what's a product lifecycle. Those of you who know it, okay, so there's one or two. So let me explain product lifecycle. And before I get to explain product lifecycle, I'll tell you why this MBA per se, and more precisely my class, is going to be different from other classes. Product lifecycle is a standard way of looking at how a product behaves. But what I would be doing is, many a case, I'll give you a more advanced view of things. Product lifecycle is like a 30, 40-year-old concept. But concepts have changed. The products have changed. The way products are handled have changed. So we'll now try to understand product life cycle to begin with. Every product has an introduction phase. That's when the product get introduced. Even they do a little bit of market research. They try to understand, will this product fit in or well? They don't even know how will this product be received. And then if the product does well, it has what is known as the growth phase. That is that period in any product where it's lot of users coming and it starts doing well. It's normally at this time that you have competition coming. A product comes in the introduction phase, not many competitors come in. The growth happens, people start watching it, and lot of competition comes in at this stage. Then the product matures, either because of technology or people get bored. And I'm sure all of us don't use the same toothpaste every time. We just want it. It's boredom sets in. We don't go to the same restaurant. We want to have, we don't watch the same genre of movies. We just want something else. So every time a product has a maturity cycle. It is during this maturity cycle that there is either a technology innovation, which will bring out revolution to the product, or there could be something else happening. And then finally, there is a decline phase. All products die. All people die. All products die. Very, very unlikely that you have products which are living for hundreds of years. They die. And they must die because either the product is obsolete, or it no longer serves the intended market, or the market is saturated, or you want to purposefully kill it so that you bring in new users. There was at one time a European Union case against Apple, saying that Apple's latest software upgrade ensured that iPhone 6 onwards started working, or iPhone 6 downwards started working slow. Why? Because we are happily sitting with that phone, and now where is the market? If all of you have bought the iPhones, where do I bring the product? Like the man who invented the tungsten lamp, he wanted to replace it with something firmer which will never break. The market was killed because if everybody has a bulb and that's going to last for 100 years, where is the market for me? So sometimes products have to die. So this is known as the product life cycle. But now product life cycle, most likely you would have learned it in school or college or encountered in your business life. Product life cycle have now changed. Again, the key emphasis is, remember, every time the word P comes up, it's the seller's word. It's my product which is being introduced. It's my product which is growing. It's my product which is maturing. And it's my product which is declining. It's from the manufacturer's point of view. Always remember, the entire class is about the P is dead and the C is born. The old 4 P's are gone. This is looking at the product from an old perspective. That is from my perspective, not the buyer, but the seller's perspective. Let's look at the world from a seller's perspective, from a buyer's perspective. What is a buyer's perspective? Yes, this is your slide. We have a new idea, which is known as the law of diffusion of innovation. Here, I don't look at the product from the company's point of view. I look at the product from the user's point of view. Now, you're making apps, you're coming up with new technology, everything. This applies to the real world that we are in today. So when a product is used, immediately, it doesn't matter what product get introduced, there are a set of people who rush and buy it. That's it. There is Google Glasses, boom, go buy it. There are wireless phones, buy it. I mean, headphones, or one crazy example I can think of is, you came up with Wi-Fi bulbs, which you could switch it off from somewhere and you could give 150 colors. I was the first guy to buy it. But what do you do with it? I don't know. I buy it. That's the crazy world we all live in. Because these kind of people are called the innovators. The innovators have nothing else to do. They just are always looking at new things. They're always buying. But a company cannot get overjoyed. Wow, man, 2.5% of my market has already market is a success. No, these innovators are not the reliable sales guys. I mean, reliable customers. They are always buying, and the market ignores them. The market ignores them. Like, for example, just because I bought a product, he's not going to come and say, hey, Ramesh bought this product. Hey, don't buy what he buys. Because he's always trying to buy something or the other. But there's another group, which is known as the early adopters. The early adopters are not like these innovators. The early adopters do a little bit of research. They think what this product is about. What does it do? How does it position in my life? How does it position vis-a-vis the competitor? And they are known as the early adopters. The early adopters are the darlings of the company. The company loves those people. One, because they are great influencers. So they will say, oh, never, whatever Ramesh buys, don't you ever buy it. Oh, what's your name? Vamshi, you said. No? Like, okay, but Vamshi is not like Ramesh. Vamshi does a lot of research. Oh, Vamshi bought it. There must be something good about it. So these are known as early adopters. And early adopters are the ones which get the best deal. The ones who are early adopters, who are buying in this cycle, will get discounts, will get free upgrades, will get a renewal at low cost or whatever it is, and they are always watching them. For example, maybe I have an older slide. I think I should definitely change it. I said M-Fine. I don't know how many of you know what is M-Fine. M-Fine. So you see, M-Fine is truly an innovator's position. M-Fine is supposed to be a pharma app, which will allow you to, I started following up. I downloaded M-Fine because my friend's company invested into M-Fine. So it's a very early stage. Nobody knows about it. Half the people don't know about it. I believe actually no longer Alexa is an early adopter, but we will assume that Alexa is an early adopter. So early as an Alexa, people will be watching you. The guys in Alexa will be even knowing what song are you asking for? How was the reaction? What is your reaction when you ask for a song? And it says, sorry, I don't know, whatever that, it comes up with a reply. So they notice. Once this 13.5, I mean, it's not sacrosanct 13.5. It could be 14 or it could be 12 or whatever, just as a number. Once this number hits, the product is a super success. The product is a super. It hits the product graph known as the tipping point. Now, what is the tipping point? I'll give you another story on a tipping point. The tipping point is that point where the scale moves from a balance to one side of the tilting. How many of you give you just to understand the importance or what is tipping point is Lord Krishna or just Krishna the character. He got married to whom? Rukmini, but he also had a young age heartthrob. What was her name? Radha. So the story, just to give you an explanation of what is the tipping point, is that it seems that Rukmini decided to weigh Krishna in equal weight of gold. So there was Krishna sitting on one side of the scale and this gold 20, 30. I think Krishna was obese. We don't know. Sugar was, he was behind sugar. So he doesn't qualify. His BMI must be bad. Okay. So butter and all that. 100, 110, 120, nothing is happening. The scale is just not moving. And you know how the story ends? Any idea? Yeah, so there you have Radha coming in and dropping one leaf of tulsi and tuck that scale. That's known as the tipping point. My God, I had to go back to mythology to explain to you all tipping point. So that is where the whole product is a success. That's when deals are closed, over. This was the period 4 years back when Uber and Ola were giving you offer. I remember now you sit and talk with any of the Uber guys, they'll complain, they'll crib. But there was a time when they dropped you from JP Nagar to Jayanagar and they got 100 rupees over it. And just because I took the cab, they gave me one ride free. The worse than drugs. They addicted us, right? They are, yes, they are. So they gave them the best deals. Now, now comes the early majority. The early majority, no deals. That is when you squeeze them, get the maximum money out. Early majority is where you will go because you're following the leader. This is the early majority. That is where they make a lot of money. They'll make a lot of money. And then late majority, they don't even care. They don't even care if you sign up. I don't think if you sign up for Uber now, they won't even give you a free ride. To hell with you. You are a late majority. I wouldn't even care for you. You should have been there long back. Why are you delaying yourself? And there will always be laggards in any product. Laggards are those who just will not kind of adapt to new things, like the very old people, like my in-laws, who refuse to even have an ATM card because they believe something will happen to them, or UPI, they believe that my money would be stolen if I download the app. But who's going to explain to them? I'm not explaining to them. Neither is the bank going to explain to them. Because say one fine day they'll say, I'm not getting a statement. The bank says, well, you don't have your ATM, we don't give you a statement. So they don't care about it. So you see a new way of defining the world, not from the product, but from a user category. That's known as the law of diffusion of innovation. So there you go, more or less finished with our class. More of this will come in here, and then we go along. So you also have an assignment which you will have to do for 30 marks. I have already uploaded the assignment. I'll give you a rough idea of what the assignment is, and then we can get about it. Guys, online, I expect you to unmute yourself more often, but it's up to you, right? Let me stop share. Yeah. It's coming? No. It's a simple PDF. What happened? Okay. No, the same thing opened up a while back. Okay, we'll see that. We'll stop there. Let me open the file. Open assignment. Okay, now let's see what happens. Share screen. Assignment 1, this better work now. Okay, don't bother. We'll get about it. So what I'm giving you, stop share. Let me see the assignment myself. We will anyway be having a look at it later. Okay, the assignment is for 30 marks. It's a group assignment. You will upload a 10. I don't think you need this slide, right? We'll go to a better screen share. Yeah, okay. So we'll go one slide before, so you don't get distracted. So the assignment is for 30 marks, out of which you have section A, which is a group presentation. You will form a group. I think you will know the group soon. There'll be a group of 8 or 9 people. I think we'll discuss that. And in that, out of those 30 marks, 5 or 6, I forget that actual number. Let me look at that. Would be a separate presentation that each of you have to do it individually, which is yeah, so which is for 10 marks, all of you will be asked to read a case study and answer it on your own. Answer top 5 points of the case study, all of you. This is where the control C, control V comes into effect, and my intelligence comes into effect. Okay, so that's when you want give me a slide. But on the group assignment, I'm giving you 5 companies to work on. What are these companies? I'll read out. One is a company called Drive. You may not know what is Drive. Anybody know what's Drive? Yeah, DRIFE. FE. No. Okay, Drive startup, which it plans to challenge Ola and Uber. They just started their operations. They are a real existing company. It's not an imaginary company. So you will start. Don't need to write it. You will get all of it. Just listen to me. That's all. So you will go research about Drive, and then come up and present about Drive. What do you think is Drive? How is Drive going to fight the world? How is Drive going to be a market leader? How does Drive see the customer as all that stuff? So one is Drive. The second example, the second company is known as New Pass. You know New Pass. New Pass is from Tata, which is the new all-in-one app. And the story is like this: is New Pass has not done well. For some reason, they have not done that well. They've decided to appoint you as the head of marketing. So how will you turn the story of New Pass into a successful company? Okay, so you know whom to compare New Pass with and how do you want to do it. Expect you to do a lot of research, come up with innovation, and between section A and section B, at least 3 of the groups will do the same thing. So now it's very easy for me to compare group A, group B, group C, which is doing the same company and product. The third company is called WhatsApp UPI. WhatsApp is a brilliant leader. I mean, WhatsApp has got into our lives in business as well as in our personal life. And WhatsApp is probably the last entrant into the UPI. WhatsApp UPI is not doing all that well. I don't know how many of you actually have a WhatsApp UPI. Why? Why? Yeah, so you've been asked to look and how can you help WhatsApp UPI to fight a battle where there is Paytm and all that stuff. You know, existing case studies, you can actually watch the case study as you go. The case study that I really want to give you is you do it in term 1, you make some assumption. By the time you're out in term 4, you really know what did I do right or did I do wrong? Okay, so my assumptions of case study, was it right or wrong? There is no right or wrong. By the way, you can imagine or assume whatever it is. The third one is, fourth one. The fourth one is future group. You know what is future group? That is, they are into big trouble now. There's a fight between Amazon and Reliance. And by the way, there's a new judgment that the government has given a judgment that all legal battles with Amazon is closed, with Future Group is closed. Future Group's debt is completely cleared. Future Group is perfect, no debt. They're back into business. They can restart their operation. And so now you are the new marketing head to restart that operation. That's the assumption that you will make. How will Future Group come back into business? If that the other part of the storytelling that giving you a part of it. Then you have that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Last one. Last one is a company called BSNL. They were a darling for all of us, and now they are gone. So just I'm creating another story that the government of India has freed up BSNL. They're allowed to do whatever they want. They have unlimited source of money. How will you make BSNL the big leader into this business? At this moment, you only know this. You don't know what are the different pages that fill in. In tomorrow's class and day after tomorrow's class, I will teach you all of that so you know what you have learned and how to fill in. There'll actually be a template that you'll have to do. So that is all we have for today. I hope you guys have, it's been a meaningful 3 hours for all of us. And that's it. Any questions? Normally need 1 or 2 questions before I release you. So any questions? Anything about the syllabus or anything or whatever? You have any questions? No. Yeah, template. Yeah, not. I don't want you to use my template, but I'll give you a directional template. Action. Don't just copy my template. I mean, I'll give you an idea of what it is. Okay. Anything else?
Sir, can you give 1 or 2 examples of marketing failure?
Marketing failures. Yeah, I will. There are lots of them. 90% of them fail. Somebody said bounce. There are a lot of them. I make it a point to mention it to me. I'll give you quite a few. There are lots of companies which have failed on marketing. I cannot quickly recall, but Tata Nano is the longest. What he's looking at is the product is good, but you marketed it badly. But Tata Nano also falls under that category. But yeah, I'll try to think of it and I'll give you some ideas. Okay. Anything else? You were saying something. No, they will not. They are not predefined, but they are not defined by me or by you. They're defined by the office. So you will have a combination of section A, section B, and those characters who are off, almost sitting online. That is the fundamental challenge that I want you to learn to do. You know what's going to happen? There are going to be 6 of you in the group, and he's going to come and tell me, sir, I'm trying to coordinate them, and they are just not able to join us. That's the first challenge for a manager to have. You know, the biggest deal was Jio signing up with Facebook. That relationship between Jio and Facebook happened in the peak of the pandemic, where you were not even allowed to move out of your houses. And they signed the biggest of the agreements. And I know for sure because I had a friend who was kind of coordinating that from Bangalore on the legal side. And so that is what your ability is, to be able to line up people. You're going to come and say, sir, I did all the hard work, sir. But that's fact of life. Okay. So that is how it is going to be. But now, for example, if he doesn't turn up for the video session or doesn't present, I have no idea how good he is or what he's doing. He will not get the 10 marks. It's as simple as that. He will, of course, get the 20 marks because that's the 20 marks that I give for the group. So it's all about how it is. So it's all about man management. At the end of the day, you will know for yourself, are you a man managing person? You'll have to learn how to get this thing. You'll have to get the non-performers to do it. That's one part of it. And I'm sure your OM classes, or what is it called, operations, he will let you know how it is to be a leader. Okay, right? So anything else? That's all? Yeah. Well, while somebody is selling a, okay. Um, yeah. Okay. The question that, what's your name? Abhinash. Okay, what Abhinash is asking me is, let me put it the other way. Between B2C and B2B, would that be a good example of saying it? A router is sold, a big satellite network is sold to another big user. Yes, there's a huge gamut of difference. And we will spend on class 3, because the easiest way to explain is B2C. You went to buy a phone, you didn't like the phone, you didn't like the color of the phone. That's easy part of marketing. Explaining why company A did not buy your product and why company A bought somebody else's product is a B2B. And most of us are in B2B business. Very, very unlikely that you are sitting on the sales counter of Purva, Rika, or what is that thing, and coming and attending an MBA class. Very unlikely, right? You could be making a product which goes to the end customer, but you may not be on that edge of the thing. You might be somewhere else. But we'll spend a long time. There's a huge difference between how a router is sold and the way a satellite is sold. Because very simply, who decides who wants the router? The head of the family, you, or maybe you and your son might decide, or kid, or whoever it is. Two of you decide which router to buy. Somebody, he says D-Link, you don't trust him, you'll never buy D-Link, right? That's it, matter close. So very simple decision. But who wants to buy, let's say, who wants to buy a new network operating system, or some huge infrastructure thing? Who's going to decide? There's going to be a board of that. There is what is called a buying center. There are 7 to 8 people who decide. We're going to learn about all of that. So there's a huge difference. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That is called OneWeb or something. Yeah. We are worried about. Yeah. They are hitting into our business. Okay. Good. Nice. Anything off class that you want to talk, or we are done for the day? Okay. But you're following my speed, right? I'm not too fast. Is there a camera actually? Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay, I'll just use the washroom.